It's my birthday coming up and I am having a dinner party at my flat and I've got, I think, 13 people coming. So I need to make some cups because while I do definitely have enough cups in my house to cater to everybody, I want them all to be matching and I want them all to be really cute. So yeah, I'm just gonna throw these today and I'm gonna make some pitchers as well so that if we make cocktails or something, we can pour them out of the pitchers into these little cups. They're gonna be for my guests to take home. So that's quite nice. A couple of weeks ago, I made this tiny little cup for a prototype for a commission that didn't end up panning out. The guy ended up ghosting me. So I had this little test piece available to me and I wanted to work out how to do some surface design on it that I wanted. So I've gone for this side, which was red iron oxide painted on with some water on top of the glaze. And then this side was my black glaze that I've recently developed, also on top. Both quite interesting. I didn't expect this one to be so blue. I expected it to look more like this colour, but yeah, both are interesting. Anyway, this is sort of the thing that I'm going to make. I'm going to make them a little bit bigger. This obviously was a test size for this commission. I don't know about the decoration at this stage, but for now, we're just going to start the throwing. So I'm going to wedge some clay up and I'm going to throw them off the hump and I'll see you at the wheel. I'm using Reclaim today, which is the right treat because it's going to be nice and soft. I'm kind of getting to the end of like a big batch of clay that I ordered quite a while ago, and that clay's like getting a little bit hard, so using Reclaim is lovely. Wedging on plaster is really nice when you're using Reclaim because like this clay is quite soft and it's kind of sticky, so it's going to stick to my workbench. My workbench is made from like an unsealed MDF, which is just like really normal wood that you can get. Medium density fiber. I don't know what the MDF stands for, but it's like a really normal wood that you can get from just like any hardware shop. Sometimes when the clay is too sticky, it sticks to it when you are wedging. So wedging on plaster on a tea towel stops this from like sliding around. And yeah, the plaster sort of pulls out some of the moisture from the clay as you're wedging it so that it's in a really nice, even consistency. So for throwing off the hump, I kind of just need whatever weight, but then the pitchers I want about 2 kilograms-ish. So I'm just gonna measure that. That's 2.4 kilograms, I think we'll work with that. Great, so we've got approximately 2 kind of the same size, which is perfect. I think I'm set up. Maybe not, this angle's not so good. Got my coffee, I've got my hot water to throw with because it is cold in here. I've got my little example piece that I'm gonna reference. This, but bigger. Sometimes, you know, your hair just has a mind of its own. My hair is truly a mixed bag. I wake up every morning and I don't know what to expect. Today, kind of interesting, kind of textured. Some days flat as a pancake. I'm gonna talk to you in this silly angle. Throwing off the hump, you need something like a wear board or something to put your work after you've made it. And part of the absolute joy of throwing off of the hump is that you can just like take your pieces off, put them down and start again. So ideally you're not like getting up in between. So I'm just gonna place my wear boards just beside me. I've got a wee stool here, which is out of shot. Also throwing off the hump, a really handy tool to have is something like this. There's a special name for this and I wanna say it's a tambu, but I am gonna look this up. If I've got it wrong, it's on the screen right now. But basically what it is it's just like, it's a couple of popsicle sticks. Honestly, it kind of looks like a little voodoo thing, but it's not. It's just a couple of popsicle sticks that I have cut to length for some other project that I was working on, and I've tied them together with just some random twine that I had. This is clearly for like something tiny that I was making. I think some little like candle holders things, and this I don't know what it was for, but I reckon it looks like a similar size to what I'm going to make. So I'm going to make my first one and then I can always just like change the size of this if I need to after the first piece. Or it's handy to have like some little calipers or something if you don't have the tools to make something like this. Or just a ruler. A ruler is fine as well. With throwing off the hump, when you're centering, you don't have to center the entire piece properly. I am going to center this kind of roughly because I like to visually see that the piece is mostly centered. But if you have trouble centering like big pieces of clay like this, then you can just size down, like work with whatever you're comfortable with. Maybe that's a kilogram of clay, you know. You just want to practice, and it sort of is low stakes for throwing off the hump because yeah, it doesn't need to be perfectly centered. Some tips for centering big pieces of clay. You want to think about kind of the forces that you're applying to the clay. So I'm kind of pushing inwards in both directions from both hands. So I'm kind of opposing this push with this push. This is almost a pull, actually. So to cone up, I'm kind of cupping these hands, I'm clawing them in, and then I'm pushing pretty hard with the ball of my palm here, the heel of my palm, I don't know what that's called, to push it up. And then I'm going to press it back down, and I'm going to kind of push it over a little bit and kind of catch it. And I'm sort of creating this like, I don't know, this like 90-degree angle with my thumb and my palm. And I'm sort of cupping the clay, pushing it over towards 2 o'clock. And I'm really engaging my abdominal muscles as I do that, and still opposing that force as I'm pressing down. Go nice and slowly. I'm pushing pretty hard in towards 2 o'clock, in that way as well as down. And like everything that you center, whatever you're making, you want to kind of center the shape to cater to that. So if this was going to be like a big vase or something, this would be a nice shape, but because I'm throwing off the hump and I need something to be a little bit smaller here at the top, I'm going to cone this a little bit higher and kind of turn it into more of a cone rather than a, I don't know, whatever that shape is, big upside down thing. I'm going to push in here. Cool. So now I'm going to work on this little part here, right at the top. So I'm going to re-center, or just make sure it's really centered right here at the top, this little part that I'm working on. I don't know how big this is. I feel like throwing off the hump, the first one is kind of like a pancake. You've got to work out like what size it's going to be and how much clay you're going to need for each piece. And the beauty of it is if you think you don't have enough, you can just give yourself a little bit more clay. So I want these to be kind of skinny at the bottom and tapered up towards the top, and I want to keep the throwing lines in. Yeah, I like that shape. Definitely bigger than this other one, definitely bigger, so even accounting for shrinkage, this is a nice shape here. Just going to compress the base. Sometimes when you're throwing off the hump, your pieces can kind of crack at the bottom because you aren't able to compress them in the same way as you would if you were just throwing straight on the wheel head. So that is something to kind of be aware of when you are throwing off the hump. Just make sure you do compress as well as you can without kind of just making the base really tiny. All right, so that's the first one. We're going to check with this little tool. So width-wise, that's great. I'm just going to push this thing down a little bit more. And that measures the inside shape. So yeah, amazingly, this is a perfect little tool for what I'm doing today. Just going to compress that again because I've made a few marks on it with that little tool, and I'm going to take it off the wheel. So to take it off, same as usual, you will make a little chamfer or a little kind of, I don't know, little slice out of the clay down here so that you can guide your wire through. And then the way that I do this is I just pull the wire taut, and while the wheel is moving, I just pull it towards me. And you've got to try and keep as sort of steady hands as possible, as level as possible. And because I created this little notch here, I'm able just to take that off the wheel, just pick it up. And you can place it down on your board. So sometimes you might find that when you take stuff off the wheel, when you're throwing off the hump, it goes a little bit off center. You can deal with that when this is a little bit more dry. And then I'm just going to repeat that, hopefully 13 times. Hopefully we've got enough clay here. If not, I can wedge some more up. So then, to start the next one, you sort of recenter the clay and you recenter your tiny bit that you're working on. That's the most important part. And then you just do it again. You just repeat the entire process. So you're going to open, widen, and then pull your walls up. And then I'll take it off the wheel. So remove the water from the inside just as normal. Cut your little notch so that you can grab the piece and you create that little spot for the wire to go through. And then you pull it through. I'm hitting the last one now. I always find that at this stage, the clay is pretty tired because this little lump of clay has been worked over loads of times. I feel like the first and the last ones are always a little bit dodgy, but obviously we'll try and make a good one from this last piece. Maybe I was wrong. This one seems fine. Okay, here's my tray of pots. Just got to kind of back up so you can see me. And then in the background there, you can see the other little tray of pots. I've got 18 in total, which is great. Some of them are a little dodge. Some of them, the bottoms are a little bit too thin. Sometimes you kind of misjudge when you're cutting them off the wheel. So yeah, that's good. So I'm gonna now move on to the pitchers, the jugs. The clay that's left over here is kind of perfect because I was thinking I needed a little bit of extra clay to make a bat ring, so I'm just going to use this. A little bit uneven, but yeah, we'll probably be able to work with it. So this jug that I'm going to make, I kind of want it to go like up and like that. So sort of like a nice vessel body. Yeah, I'm not that good at making these, so let's see what we can get from it, eh? This is 2.4 kilograms of clay, and yeah, centering is much like before, except you want the whole piece centered rather than just the top part that you're working. So the jug, I'm just going to open up. I'm going to support with my left hand, and I'm going to open with my right. So I find the middle and then I press down. And because this is so much clay, I don't have enough strength in just my fingers here to do that. So I'm going to go in with my thumbs. And then I'm going to widen it by crooking my fingers like this, and sort of dragging them down towards 6 o'clock, towards me, trying to stay parallel with the wheel head. And because I want this to be like this kind of shape, I need to start with a fairly narrow base. So this is, I don't know, that wide on the inside, including my like the outside of my finger and my thumb there. Go math. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Maybe 8 centimeters. I'm just going to compress that a little bit now. And I have a fairly like thick base at the bottom because I'm going to want to add a little foot ring later on. Now I'm just going to need to bring this up. Oh, there's an air bubble. Okay, I've got to keep this part really thick. Well, not really thick, but reasonably thick, because I'm going to want to play around with that in a bit. And then this part here is going to be the shoulder, so I want that to stay fairly thick as well. But I need to bring some more clay up from the base. And I can see that the inside, obviously you can't see that in the video, but I can see the inside is starting to widen, so I'm going to collar it in now. before doing another pull. And then easing off about here. Still bringing the clay up, but like easing the pressure off because I want it to be thinner at the bottom than the top. Now I'm going to start shaping it a little bit as I pull. And that a bit thinner. Okay, now I'm going to pull this out a little bit. There's a massive air bubble right there, right at the shoulder, which is a real annoying thing, but maybe I can like pop that and deal with it later. The fear when working on pieces like this is that that exact thing happens, is that this can't support the neck. So hopefully we can fix it by pulling that up a little bit. Ironic that that happened as I was explaining the fear. Okay, hopefully that's okay. I don't make these shapes very often at all, so I'm really not good at them. It's these shoulders that I'm not like experienced at. I'm not like, I can't work out how much thickness to leave here for the neck to be supported. Like, I really don't like this shape actually. I'm hoping that I can maybe fix it when I trim. But it's fine, it will hold a lot of liquid, and I don't know. See if I can remedy the shape a little bit. Look at that wonky top. So this is cheating a little bit. I'm getting rid of some of that clay at the bottom now so that I can fix it up later. Like when I'm trimming it will be a bit easier. Okay. The trick is when something's like gone off center like this, you have to keep a really steady hand. Like, you can't be tempted to follow the wobbles. Like, you have to stay so still and still like let the clay move around you. And if you still kind of have control, then it should be fine. But yeah, it is always pretty scary. Like this part I'm not stoked about. I don't know if I want to risk using the rib on this, but here I am doing it anyway. It's going real slow. Honestly, that's an insane shape. It's fine for a vase, but for a jug, I don't know. Should we call it there? I feel like playing with it anymore is a bit of a risk. What I can do is like, see how we've got a wobble. We can kind of use that to our advantage, and like this higher spot I can use as the spout, this part here, and then the lower will be where the handle goes, and this like nick where I slipped. Hopefully we can just kind of get rid of that as the clay dries a little bit. I feel like I need to stop now because the more I faff with it, the risk kind of goes up for me, like absolutely bombing it. So yeah, let's slowly take it off the wheel. It's pretty thick at the bottom, I think. Maybe it's fine. I kind of want some more throwing lines though to match the other pieces. Maybe the second piece will be a little bit less clunky. Okay, right, let's see if we can see a little bit more of me. I think I am gonna make the spout bits now. Even though I feel a little bit scared of them, I know from like past experience, it's better to do the spouts when the clay is really wet. So let's do it. For a spout, you need some water. This is my throwing water, not in shot. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wet my hands and I'm gonna slide back and forth over the rim here. And I'm just making this thin and sharp. You see? So the difference of like this kind of square rim and this is a sharp rim. Then I'm going to rest my index finger and my thumb against the spout like this, and then this one is going to pull through. And there we go, a spout. The reason that you go kind of back and forth like this on the spout is because you want to get a nice sharp edge of clay. And that edge of clay kind of cuts the flow of water or liquid as you're pouring whatever you're pouring. So that hopefully, fingers crossed, you don't have any drips down the side. That's the end of day one. We have our spouted jugs and we have our cups. So I'm going to let everything dry. These are going to take a couple of days, I think. So I'll be back in 2 days for trimming. Hi, welcome to day 2. It's been 2 days since I threw these and since I threw the cups. Let me update you. So it's been quite warm actually in the studio, which is really nice. So these have dried really well. The cups actually dried they dried overnight and I had to dunk them all in water yesterday. So I've dunked them and then I've wrapped them up again and hopefully they've kind of rehydrated a little bit. Yeah, they have. So here they are. They were like slightly too dry and now they're back. So that's great. Let me sit down. Let me get comfy. And then I thought that the jugs were going to be too wet in comparison to these and I wouldn't be able to finish them in the same day. So I put them outside yesterday while I was having lunch and lo and behold, blow me down, too hot. Oh, damn it. Too dry. So I had to dunk the tops of them in water yesterday. And I have left them overnight wrapped up, just the rims, and they have rehydrated really well. So that's good news. I'm going to keep them wrapped up for now. On the list today, what we have to do is 1, trim everything. 2, make some handles for the jugs, and I'm thinking thrown handles. Thinking pulled handles, not thrown handles. Because they are like quite traditional, you know, they're like trad pots. So we want them to have kind of a traditional energy to them, which is, I think, a thrown handle. Stop saying that, a pulled handle rather than a slab handle, which is what I usually do for my mugs. But because I've like left lots of throwing lines and they're kind of like traditional shapes, I think a pulled handle will suit them really well. Also, a pulled handle you can leave a little bit thicker, to be honest, and these guys are big boys. They're bulky, you know, like, oh, she's quite heavy. Obviously there's still a lot of clay that I'm going to trim out of this, but like it's a big jug, as big as my head, and so we've got to make sure that when this is filled with liquid, the handle is going to hold up to that weight, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think I'm gonna pull the handle off of the piece. So like I'm gonna trim everything first and then we'll do handles at the end, I think. In the past, the way that I've pulled handles, like I have experience pulling handles and then leaving them to dry a little bit and shaping them off of the piece and then attaching them. But I think a bigger fire alarm is just a test. It's just a test. It's Thursday morning. We test the fire alarm at this time. However, if it didn't turn off, I would have had to go outside, but we're good. I have less experience of pulling a handle off of a piece, but I can do it. I've done it before, so I'm gonna give that a go, and hopefully we can get some like nice looking handle and a strong handle as well. Let's get to trimming. That's a fun thing to do. I'm gonna trim all the cups first, and then I will trim the jugs, and then we'll do handles. Yay! It's such a nice day today. You can't help but to be like overjoyed when the sun is out, you know? Mental health, often down here, sun comes out. Who is bad mental health? Who is depression? Who is anxiety? Never matter, you know? A little bit of sun. We are but plants, you know? Photosynthesis. It's important. What I would really like for trimming these pieces is, first of all, it's just so many noises today. I would like for these pieces to have a chuck, but I didn't throw a chuck. So, I don't know, basically because the rims dried yesterday, I'm kind of worried about them cracking a little bit. And so it would be nice to have a chuck to just like put them on, trim the bases quickly, and not have to worry about like sticking them down and kind of placing quite a lot of pressure down into the rims. But I didn't throw one, so I'm not gonna do that. But maybe one of them could act as a chuck. Yeah, maybe I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna attach one, see if I can turn it into a chuck, and then the rest. Sadly, I broke one of them yesterday, RIP, when I was trying to like reshape it. It had gone really, really oval. I've only got 17 now, but that's fine. I had to take my cats to the vet this morning, which is always like a sad thing to have to do, but they're doing really well. So Bruiser had to get his tail amputated a couple of weeks ago because he was in a lot of pain and he has never had any control of his tail. So it was causing a lot of strain on his spine to try and like control his tail the whole time, and it was like pulling down and hurting him. So sadly we had to do that, and then Sunshine, our other cat, had to have a dental and have a few teeth removed. So yeah, they were both feeling a little bit sorry for themselves, but we took them in and had them looked at this morning for a checkup, and they're all good. We thought that Sunshine had diabetes because when he was in last week, he had his blood sugar checked and it wasn't looking good. They said it was really high. If you're a person who is familiar with diabetes, it was like 16.5 or something, which is high. It's high, and that was a fasting level. And then we took him in this morning after his breakfast, and it was only 7.5, so he's good. He's all good. They've done a blood test as well, just to double check, but yeah. Looks like he was just stressed from the surgery, so that's what caused it. Because, yeah, we've had diabetic cats before. If you've like followed us, if you've followed me, and you're familiar with my cats, you'll know that. And yeah, I don't wish that on any cat or any person, because it's hard work managing diabetes. Anyway, enough about that. No one asked about my cats. So I'm going to attach this one, the first one, to the wheel. The way I do that is I just put a little bit of water on the wheel, and then I center this and I sort of swirl it around a little bit to create some slip, and then I center it by eye. So I'm using the concentric rings on the wheel to help me work out where the middle is, and then I just double check it because these were thrown off the hump. They're a little funky. You just kind of want it like mostly centered, and the bit that you want centered most importantly is the part that you're trimming. So this is, for me, the base. And then I just give it a little tap. See if we can actually focus my hands. Okay, so I'm going to trim these on here, and hopefully, I don't usually trim off a chuck. It's kind of not within my practice. But sometimes it's nice to try something new, you know? When you throw off the hump, actually, I'm going to show you this. Can you see that? You usually get a big chunk of clay left over on the base, because when you chop it off the wheel, it obviously, you're not like just cutting it off the base. So yeah, you've got to take care of that when you're trimming. And I'm not going to touch the walls because I'm happy with the kind of size of the walls, but I'm also happy with the throwing lines. So I'm just really doing these when I'm working on them. I'm using this tool. I've been partial to this like mud tools trimming tool recently. Yeah, this is the thing with trimming off a hump. Things just kind of uncenter themselves quite quickly. And I'm going to clean up this edge as well where I like picked up the pot. Okay, that's it. All I've done is trimmed this part here, and I've trimmed a little chamfer and trimmed off some of my finger marks. I'm just going to make sure that this is concave. I think it's currently convex. So if it's concave like that, if it's doming up, it's never going to sit flat on a surface, it's going to always wobble. So you want it to be concave. If you struggle with that, remember that you want it to cave in a little bit, and then it will hopefully not wobble on a surface. That's it. Little sponge off. This is just my stamp, and I'm going to press it in here. Yeah, look at that. So cute. And then that's it. And then I'm going to sponge the rim. And that's it for that. I'm actually going to grab a wear board so I can place them all out to dry today. I have a roll of tissue paper so that I can lay my wear boards, which are, I don't know what this kind of board is called, chipboard or something. Obviously it's very highly textured, and that can sometimes mark pieces. So I just have this roll of tissue paper that I roll out and place on top of my wear boards so that these pieces can sort of shrink with the paper. It's not necessary, but for me, like, this board is pretty aggressive and it does mark my pieces. So yeah, hot tip. This is the silly angle. I'm gonna now whiz through most of these, and I will see you when it's time to do the jugs. I just want to show you that I also made these for the party. They're just some bowls, just because I don't have enough bowls at home, and some plates, because I'm going to make tiramisu. Aww. And I don't think I have enough dessert plates, so I've just made these. They're like little saucers. I make everything off the hump now. Anyway, I'm not going to show you trimming and stuff of those, because I didn't show you the throwing. This is just a jugs and cups video, okay? Sometimes you eat lunch for too long. Now it's 2 p.m, 3 p.m. maybe. I don't know what the time is. And the sun's gone. So we're trimming in the dark. We're doing these jugs now. Okay, I'm fed, I'm watered. Let's go. Why can't I set my tripod up? Okay, so this, I'm gonna trim a foot ring into it, and I'm gonna trim some of this off of it. I'm gonna attach it in the same way as I did my cups, and hope that it doesn't fling itself off the wheel. It's fairly heavy, so yeah, hopefully it's okay. The risk is that it's fairly tall, so it's obviously got a higher center point of gravity, so it can wobble and tip itself over. Risk it for a biscuit. Fingers crossed, lads. I think I'm gonna do the outside and this first, and then I can work out how wide I want the foot ring to be. Hey. I use a mirror when I throw and when I trim, just so that I can like see the form in front of me. I can see the form in the phone here, in my camera. It's easier to see like in real time. The camera is like slightly lagging, you know. Look at that, perfect ribbons coming off. I love to see it. I think we've got quite a lot of clay to work with here, so I'm going to cut out a little bit of a foot ring. Okay, this tool, I feel like I don't have enough control of what I'm doing here, so I'm going to use my trusty loop tool to tidy this up. I'm scared I'm gonna like go through the bottom because I don't have control of like how deep I'm gouging. Actually, I'm gonna use this one. I feel like it's good to try new tools, but then like if you can't control it, you should use what you're like used to. So this tool, like I've got some nice trimming lines on here, but I can sort of see that it's like my tool has chattered a little bit, which means it's like kind of jumped around on the surface. And I don't love the look of that. So I feel like this one I can almost burnish the body a little bit more, the clay a little bit more. So I'm gonna do that, and I don't know, we'll see what kind of lines and history we have in it at the end. Yeah, that's much nicer, much smoother. Cool, okay. That's that for that one, I reckon. Get rid of all these trimming like crumbs before I sponge. Now I'm going to unstick it. So again, I'm going to make sure my hands are free of all these trimming crumbs, and I'm going to just pop it off the wheel. Clean the rim up, and then I'm going to put this aside with some plastic back on the top so that I can deal with the handle in a moment. Because I didn't trim any of this part here, I'm just going to go around and double check that I'm happy with everything, mostly with my sponge. Yeah, I don't feel like I need any trimming tools for this bit. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. It's a really cute shape, right? Okay, so for handles, I have a whole video on different types of handles that you might want to make for your pieces. Like I said earlier, I feel like this piece should be a pulled handle. I've got both jugs here. I've got some clay that I've wedged up that is the same clay as the clay that I've thrown with to become the pulled handles. I've got some water. Honestly, a little nervous about this. I always get a little nervous when I'm making pulled handles like off of the piece. The reason I get nervous is just, I don't really like it. At this stage, I've done a lot of hard work. You know, it's hard to throw these taller pieces. I've trimmed them, and like I don't want to mess it up. So yeah, that's why I get a little nervous. Just get a little nervous, it's fine. If you want to know like the ins and outs of how to pull handles, I have a video that I've made which should pop up here. I'll link it down below as well if you're watching on mobile. And it's just like 4 different ways to make a handle. So pulled 2 ways, like onto a plastic bat and off of a piece, slab handles and coil handles. So yeah, that might be helpful for you. I also have with me a serrated rib and a wooden knife tool just in case I need it. I don't know if you're meant to do this or not, but I always just like to score the rim where it's going to attach. I'm going to do that on both, and I'm just doing this like opposite where my spout is. Now I guess I'm just going to pull the handle, and I don't know if you're familiar with pulling handles or not, but this shit's rude. I feel like this should be an OnlyFans exclusive. Okay, so like I said, these pieces are heavy-ish, you know, and they're gonna like hold quite a lot of liquid. So I have to make sure that this handle can hold up to that. So I'm just gonna make sure it's like thick enough to, yeah, hold that much weight. That might be a good length, and it's good thickness. I'm just gonna pinch off some of that end bit, which is not that nice. I think I need more length because I want this to kind of like go up and then down. So I think it's a surprising amount of clay that you need for this. And I'm just going to knit this off. I'm going to pinch it. So we've got this handle, and I'm going to kind of smush it onto this part here. And then I'm going to let it go down, find that spot and smush it in there as well. I turned this upside down. Maybe I should have filmed it so I could show you. But looking at this, I don't like that sag, but I feel like it's doing okay. I think upside down, the handle was able to like hold that nice round shape. Maybe I'll get a sponge or something, a dry sponge, and just place it in there to keep this part here from sagging, so we can kind of keep this form a little bit round. Okay. Looks alright, right? Maybe too much. I'm trying just to like tidy this up a little bit now. I'm not going to add any water really at this stage because I don't want to make this even more saggy than it already is. Just want to tidy up this this join. So I'm just using this part of my wooden knife tool to like, yeah, get rid of some of these harsher lines like from the rib and from, yeah, just where I've like removed some of the clay. That's the handle where it's joining. Please focus on that, not my face. That's that side. Now I'm going to pop it outside. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the other one. The exact same process. Hopefully it will just be more streamlined. I'm going to turn this one over as well. Just feel like it gives a nice, like, less of a sag to the shape, you know, it elevates it a little bit higher than the rim when you do that. Hopefully it still maintains that nice kind of roundedness to it, but with an extra something something. I don't know if like the reason that I'm faffing around with this so much is because I'm super anal and I want it to be perfect, or if it's and like I'm a control freak, or if everyone does it like this. I don't know. From what I've seen online, attaching a handle like this takes about 3 seconds. Am I just not that kind of potter? It would track with like the rest of my body of work how long handles take me, but I feel like I thought pulled handles were like quicker than this. It must just be me being anal. You know what? Doing it upside down, maybe unsurprisingly, has done the same thing as it did with the other one, was make this part sag. So I actually think I'm gonna do this one this way around because I liked the arch of this, the natural arch that we were getting. And so I've attached this pretty well and I've attached this pretty well. So I think we're just gonna let this one now dry like this. Well, my friends, a bit of patience went a really long way. It's been about an hour and this guy's been outside in the wind. It's not sunny anymore, but like it's a little bit breezy and it's quite warm outside. And it's much more solid. So I'm gonna now just tidy this up a little bit with my knife and my sponge, and I think we'll be good to let it dry, and then I'll repeat the same with the other one. I'm done for now. So we've got my little cups. They look cute. They are rapidly drying actually. And then we have the jugs. This is the one that I think is a little bit like top heavy, and I still agree with that. Like I still think that, but yeah, I'm happy with the handle. I think it balances it out a little bit more. This is the other one. I think this one looks a bit nicer. It's got a more substantial base and it's got, I don't know, I feel like the base and that wider part match a little bit better. And I like the handle better. It's a bit more round. I'm gonna let these dry and maybe next week I will put them through the bisque firing and then I will glaze them. And I haven't decided what I'm gonna glaze them in yet. That's it for now. I'll see you next week when it's time to glaze them. I have a kiln to unload which has like some test pieces in it. I've just been swimming and I feel like you can really tell that I've been wearing goggles. Maybe I should do it with my sunnies on. Brat. We've got the first tester here. She's hot. Oh, stop. Oh, that's a really hot piece, but that's really cute. So I used my test piece to guide me on the colors and stuff that I wanted. And I think I'm gonna do white with the black, and that kind of goes blue on top. I have a couple of other tests in here. So this was the initial piece with the black glaze painted on, and then this was just, I've got a clay fingerprint on it, but that was the red iron oxide. And I thought that was too, it honestly looks like Marmite is on the cup, so I decided not to go for that one. But what I did do from here, so because I liked this piece, I did a few more tests. So we have this one, which is the black glaze with white painted on top, and then the other which is white painted onto the cup, and then the black glaze on top. And honestly, I don't really like either of these. I think they look weird, they look like a mistake. I think the colors don't really go together in the same way that like this one feels. It feels fresh and lovely. This one feels, I don't know, I don't like the kind of the greeniness mixed with the whitey blue. I think it just kind of looks gross. I've also done this test, which is white glaze just dipped into the black on the rim, which I really like. I think I would prefer it to be bluer though. See this one, I think where it's like lighter, it's more blue than this where it's more black. So I think what I'm gonna do after all of that is something like this. This is a buttered dish, obviously it's a butter thing. So the white glaze painted with cobalt oxide and water, and it's made this like really lovely vibrant blue. But maybe something like that but with the blue and like this, and then these are a really nice little pair. And I have some bowls and stuff as well which can go on this. So I think that was a good round of tests. I think I've got a good idea of kind of what I want to do with it. These kind of just feel a little bit more traditional, like kind of 70s, 80s, 90s. I don't specifically know, but it feels like nostalgic to me. So I think it'll be quite an interesting, little collection. I usually don't test stuff. I just kind of go straight into it. So it's nice to have like worked that out. All right, it's glaze day for my little cups, my little bowls and my little plates. Sadly, I haven't been able to get my big jugs into the firing. I just haven't been able to like literally fit them in because they're such big items. I'm really hoping that I'll be able to before the party, but if not, it's fine. This is kind of slightly more important because people need to eat and drink off of things. So that's all good. I'm gonna mix this up and then I'm just gonna use cobalt oxide mixed with water to paint onto my pieces, and I think that will be fine. So just mixing up the glaze, and I'll glaze all these guys in white, and then I will clean the bases, and then I'll get to the painting part of it all at once. Look at all of that in the sieve. So much crap. I don't bother waxing the bottom of my pieces. I find it's an annoying waste of time. It does make the like cleaning up process of each piece a little bit more difficult, but I don't know. I don't really like the smell of it, and I don't like the smokiness that it creates in the studio. So yeah, just try to avoid it. As I'm doing this, I'm thinking that maybe I could draw a little different thing on each one. I've been really into sardines recently. Maybe I could draw some sardines on some flowers on some stripes on some, just some cute little things, and then maybe everyone can choose their favorite piece when they come. I think I'm gonna do that. Just because I've been mulling it over this whole time, and I really can't decide like specifically what I want to do on each, like for all of them. So maybe I can just do all of the ideas that I want to do. Some of these have little cracks in the bottom, which is an issue from when I threw them. I threw them off the hump, and I think because of that, they don't get a good chance at getting their bases compressed. Some of them are slightly worse than others. It's okay because, you know, these are for me, but it is annoying when throwing off the hump. I feel like I'm missing something in the process maybe that stops that from happening. If you are a person who's good at throwing off the hump and you don't get cracks in your bases, can you please give me some hot tips? Because I really do love throwing off the hump, but like, yeah, it does create a lot of seconds for me when I'm throwing bowls specifically. Look at this fun one. I gave it a little wavy rim. I made like 6 plates instead of 13, but that's okay. I've got some little plates at home. It maybe would have been nice to make enough for everyone, but it's okay. Cool, now I'm gonna wipe all the bases. I hate glazing for specifically doing this. I hate the like wiping the bases process. All of these little pinholes and things I will fettle over once my glaze is dried a little bit more. This one is particularly pinholey. Alright, I'm just gonna get started. The studio is hot, and we've had both kilns on over the last 2 days. It's going to be 22 degrees today, which is stunning. You know, I feel like we're within like spitting distance of summer, and I love to see it. I'm going to unload the kiln today, and I'm going to take off this fucking cardigan because it's hot. Definitely a glove unload. This is hot. It's a little flower bowl. I'm obsessed. That one's not so successful, but I still love him. He kind of looks like a whale more than a sardine, but hey ho. Got sardines, millions of sardines. I can't stop. And then these guys, kind of, it's all a nautical theme, but we have some stripy bowls. And then just one fish on a wonky dish. Next layer. That was close. There's more fish, there's more flowers, there's more stripes. Okay! Stop it. Stop it. Sardines, man. This is a little plate with a wee foot ring. Oh my god, these are cute. Got some more stripy plates. Oh, this guy's just a rim of flowers. These two are also sardines. This one definitely is giving whale, but that's fine. I love a sardine. Then we've got a flower. And then a different kind of style of flower, more sardines, and then something completely free of any decoration whatsoever. Next layer, we've got loads of cups in here. First of all, that's so cute. This reminds me of like some dinnerware that we had when I was growing up in the 90s. Oh my god. A couple of sardines swimming around on this cup. And this one, like a little garden of daisies. Naturally, more sardines / whales. Loads of cups. This one, sardines on it vertically. A singular sardine. Daisies. Stripy little guy. Sardine. Stripes. Daisies. Stripes. Oh yeah, love these ones. Very daisies. Stripes. Sardines and the flowers kind of are all a little bit different, but I feel as though the stripes like tie them all together. Oh, I love this one. When I was painting it, I loved it. I think it might be my favorite. They kind of look a little bit like carrots. Honestly, so many sardines. Tiny daisies. This one has a few treats in it. So we've got bowls on this layer, a single daisy standing up, and just daisies all around. Stripes. Daisies. That's a good one. I'm happy with that one. Oh, fuck off. That is so cute. Stop it. I'm gonna have to make more of these. So this is like a little wavy dish. I've made a few of these in my time, but like I never really vibed that much with them, but I just painted the rim blue. And I really like that. It's like a little candy dish. Little tiny daisies. I actually think when I was painting these were my least favorite, but I think maybe, I don't know, I like them both. They're actually quite different energies, aren't they? A little set with this. This is the bowl and then this is the plate. Are you kidding me? Fish plate, another fish plate right at the bottom. Some bonus sardines because I liked making these so much that I just started making like physical sardines. They're not glazed, but I painted them with oxide. They're like little blue guys. Mate, I'm so happy with that. The great thing is that in a couple of days I'm gonna unload the little kiln. It's at 280 degrees right now, so it's too hot to unload. That kiln is essentially filled with all the same stuff, but dinner plates as well. So that's fun. Success.